Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Half Century of Sports Cards 40th edition. We are starting a new series that I introduced last week. It is my favorite 400 sports cards. We're going to do them 7 to 8 cards at a time. They're just going to have to be cards from my collection, so you're not going to see a T206 Hannes Wagner, and unless I get it really quick, you're not going to see a 52 Topps Mantle. Would love to get one. Shout out to the World Series teams, Texas Rangers and Arizona Diamondbacks. And my number 400 card is a tribute to the Texas Rangers. This is an original Rangers, 72, the year they went to Texas. And from before that, starting in 61 in Washington, the Senators. This is 1966 Topps Frank Howard. Really cool card. I like the coloring on this card. I like his just kind of stoic look there. This big, huge behemoth of a guy who is 6'7", about 290. That's Aaron Judge size in an era where a lot of the players were much, much smaller than that. Frank Howard was also quite a player. He hit 382 homers in his career, and he had this streak just after this. This is 66 in that 67, 68, 69, 70 season where he hit 36 homers, 44 homers, 48 homers, and then 44 homers again. And that first 44 homer season was in 1968, which was the year of the pitcher. So in that season, there wasn't a whole lot for guys hitting homers or average. You can see the back of the card there's kind of cool. So he was a really good player, was a sport guy in basketball at Ohio State, was an All-American in college as well as being an All-American in baseball, and then had a really good baseball career, a little bit of a coaching and managing career even after that. Number 399 is my tribute to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they obviously don't have any vintage cards, but Joe Garagioola's son, Joe Garagiola Jr., helped kind of form the Diamondbacks and was a long-time general manager, baseball ops kind of guy, still I think in their system. His dad, Jared Garagiola, I remember as a kid being an announcer on Game of the Week, him and Tony Kubek. Before that, he was with Kurt Gowdy, and he was really good. I mean, he was insightful, he was funny, he wrote a book, Baseball is a Funny Game, which I read as a kid. He's actually in the Hall of Fame for his broadcasting. Before World Series game, he'd do this thing called World Series Report that was just really good. Did some with Sandy Koufax in that. Originally, this card I didn't put in my top 400. I think I showed him as one that didn't make it, but threw him in there as my Diamondbacks rep, and he probably belongs there anyway. It's a good card. All right, number 398, we have George Blanda. And this is a 76 Topps football card of a guy who at the time is 48 years old. I just kind of like that look of, boy, he's a beaten down, silvered hair, look in the face, like, man, should I still be here? Got the jacket on, waiting to see if he might have to come out and kick a field goal. Earlier in his career, he was a quarterback, and in 61, he actually led the league, broke a record for touchdowns thrown in a season. 36 was the record at the time. And unfortunately, the year after that, he broke the record, which still stands for interceptions in a season at 42. But what's kind of cool, this card is looking at the back of it. Started in 1948, playing for George Halas with the Bears. In college, he was coached by Bear Bryant at Kentucky, so his pre-Alabama days. Just played forever. But George Blanda. Next, we'll show it. We got a younger Blanda. He's still like 40 there, though, in 1969. All right, next we've got a 64 Topps Bob Gibson. I like this card just because this is kind of when he's still young, before he's known as that real intense, fiery guy. He's got the nice smile here. And this is kind of when he started to break out. So 63 would have been the season on the back of this card. Had a really good year, 18-9, good ERA. But 64 was the year he is the main guy who helped dethrone the Yankees, was the MVP of the World Series. They beat him. He won Game 7, throwing a complete game. You're going to see a few more Bob Gibsons in this top 400 list, but this kind of, I like this one, the 64 card. Next, we've got a little surprise, a 1972-73 Topps basketball of Archie Clark. And why do I like this card? Combo of just that sharp yellow background, the nice big Fu Manchu of the era, kind of that look in the eyes, that steely look. You get the sideburns, and then that jersey, that Baltimore Bullets V-neck. I've got a couple other cards. There's Phil Chenier showing that full-length jersey. This here is the actual Archie Clark that I originally had from that year. So my first cards, I always talked about it being the 1973 baseball cards being the first ones I got at PAX, and that is true. But before that, in the 72-73 season, I got, it looks like 36 it was, basketball cards. And we could get those at the time from Wheaties boxes. You sent in 50 cents along with a couple of box tops, and they would send you this cello pack of 36 cards. And I knew I got them from cereal boxes. I didn't remember how. I looked that up later and found out you could get, either that or a full sheet they would send you for $2. A full sheet of 132 cards. So I know I talked my mom into it, and me and my brother got the 36. So I still have those cards. I have a Will Chamberlain from that 36 card cello pack that we got back then. But the Archie Clark, who is a University of Minnesota guy, which I like too, and he was also a really good player. So not just a cool looking card, but as you can see there, he averaged 25 points a game that season after a good career with Minnesota, coming off the Air Force base where they found him. And you can see, looking at his card there too, he started, little known, he was with the Lakers to start, and then he was traded there to Philadelphia 76ers. The guy he was traded for was Will Chamberlain. So Archie Clark. Next, we have a Hall of Fame pitcher in Jesse Haynes, and this is his 1933 Gaudy. He was a longtime St. Louis Cardinal, 18 of his 19 seasons. In fact, all but one of his games in his career came with the St. Louis Cardinals. He won 210 games in his career. Best year was 1927 when he was 24-10 with a 2.72 ERA. He was a knuckleballer, and with that, very low strikeouts in over 3,000 career innings. He had less than 1,000 strikeouts. Here you can see the back of that 33 Gaudy card. Next, we've got a 1975 Topps football card. This is Greg Pruitt. There's another original card from PAX that I got as a kid. This one quite off center, I guess, which I never noticed at the time. But what I like about this card is I like Greg Pruitt. Liked him with the Browns. And here he's got, that's Mean Joe Green, trying to tackle him. He's evading him. Greg Pruitt was known for the breakaway jerseys, and you just wonder if a few yards down from this picture if he was breaking a tackle by having his jersey rip in half as he's eluding some arms of another, a Jack Lambert or a Jack Ham or an Andy Russell or somebody like that from the Steelers. You can see the back of this card. Now, Pruitt was a good player, too. All-American at Oklahoma, and then had 3 1,000-yard rushing seasons. He also was a good kick returner. And the other interesting thing of this card that I like is the Cleveland Browns didn't really have anything on their helmets. So in an era that was like all of the 70s, the Topps cards, they'd had to airbrush the helmets. And here's some examples. You can see the Chargers without a lightning bolt, the Dolphins without a dolphin, the Patriots without that Patriot dude snapping the ball. They're all airbrushed, but for the Browns, that didn't matter. And then my last on my card, this will be number 393. This is a 1963 Pete Rose rookie card. This is obviously the most expensive of these lot of 8 cards. And I'm not choosing these cards based on cost, although that probably does factor some into it. I don't know why this one made it to the list. This card, these rookie cards that had 4 little heads. Probably aren't the, I don't know, the coolest cards, but this being Pete Rose's rookie, you know, a guy who ended up with almost 80 WAR, career hits leader, still is. Ken McMullen actually had almost half as much career WAR as Pete Rose, so he was a good player on that card as well. And the other two guys, Pedro Gonzalez and Al Weiss, had decent major league careers as well. But this was, you know, this is one of those I had to pony up to finish off my 63 set. About a Pete Rose card, and it's a high number, which makes it even tougher, along with being his rookie card. One of the tougher cards, actually, of the 1960s. So that is it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that, a little mix of different kinds of cards. Some commons, some real expensive, some football, some basketball, some baseball. We will come back with my next 7 on the next episode. We'll see you then. Until then, enjoy the start of the World Series.